How to Draw Cartoons with John-Marc. Hey, it's John-Marc and welcome to my series on teaching you how to draw cartoons. Today's episode, I have 3 cute little cartoons to share with you. The first one is going to be a butterfly, real simple one. You can use your imagination. And the second one, definitely you can use your imagination because it's a fish with crab hands. The third one is going to be a cartoon shark. Not a real one, but it is, but it's not, but it's a cartoon version. Anyway, so if you have your paper and pencil, I think we're ready to begin today's lessons.
All right, this is going to be a fun lesson. As you can see, I'm working with my traditional mechanical pencil that I've used many times with a lead 2B inside and a standard 8.5 by 11 paper. So this is a simple lesson that like a preschool, elementary level kid could really appreciate, and even some of your grandparents would really enjoy this lesson doing it with you. Basic shape that I have created, the body right now, and then I'm just adding the 2 forms of eyes. Clearly note, just look at how sketchy it is because it's just a sketch. It's nothing perfect in any way. Now, feel free to use your imagination. I'm using this little character and making his mouth wide open and his eyes kind of like half shut. He might be sticking out his tongue. He might be really angry or sad or mad. Use different expressions, which is really using your imagination on top of learning what I'm sharing with you. Now, as you can see here, I'm making butterfly wings very simple. You could do a lot more. And what's really cool about this, if you really look at butterflies, they have some phenomenal different shapes and patterns inside their wings. And that part I want to challenge you and be creative with. Now, the body is very simple. I'm just going to put a little bottom part down there. I'm not going to put any arms or legs in there, what you want to say. I'm just leaving them out. You may want to add that. Perfectly fine. Just going to add a little stripe onto his body right there. And I'm going to give him little antennas on the top, really whimsical ones. There you go. Really cool. All right, I'm going to give him some little eyelashes on the top there, and they're floating, of course, because this is a cartoon. This is the cool thing. Use your imagination, being creative. Now, what type of patterns could you have in there? You could have circles, ovals, stars, hearts in there. It could be wavy lines in there, or even look like stained glass. If you notice on some of the bigger butterflies on the backside, they kind of look like a face with eyes. That kind of scares off the birds before they're actually going to try to eat them, believe it or not. So here we go with a simple, let's add a little tongue inside. There we go. And this is like step number 1, very loose, very loose. And I went very light on the sketching. And again, I don't use the eraser at all really in this case because it's just a simple thumbnail sketch. And now I'm just dark and going a little heavier on top of that. That's why I like the blue pencil that I'm using with right now, because it's the B2 lead, very soft. Because if I had like an HB or an H1 or 2, it's going to be a heavier line, really sharp, should I say. So I'm not going to be able to get that softer, fluffy feel to it, but they're really critical for other purposes. Definitely the more harder lead, not for what I'm using for right now. All right. So, and typical like a number 2 pencil is an HB. So my 2B is softer than that 2B pencil, just an FYI. You can see I'm just making these little speed lines and shading on the body there. And now watch what I'm going to do here on the bottom. Now I'm going to give the shading a little of a curve so it's not so flat. Now when I do that, that kind of gives you that illusion that it has more of a curve to the shape. If you did flat, it kind of has a flat look to it. Now let's go to work on the bottom 2 wings there. You can have more than one heart if you want to. That's really simple to get this one out there. Let's go and get this a little dark. Now, how would you color this? Do you like color pencils? Do you like markers? Do you like watercolors? That'd be a real fun one to actually practice on different mediums. What I mean? Try one in the color pencil, redraw it, and then do into like magic markers or watercolor and see which one, using the same cartoon, appeal to you, a little bit easier. All right, shading in the heart there, and as you can see, I just added a little tail to the little wings. Sometimes some of the butterflies have long and narrow ones like that. And here we go on the top there. It's looking good. I'm liking that. Now a little shape in there. Again, what I meant by the stained glass look. So if you look at the stained glass windows, you'll see what I'm saying. There are different geometrical shapes that are in there, kind of like this area here on that big wing of the butterfly right there, where they would have different geometrical shape and different colors that kind of feel in there. That's what I was trying to say in this particular spot. And here's a smaller circle, shading that one in, and get the other one, a little bigger one. Very, very simple. Nice going. Okay, let's get that last one done. There we go. And it doesn't have to be perfect when you're shading it in. Don't worry about not staying in the lines. That's the fun nature of these lessons I'm trying to share with you. Feel that freedom and explore your eye and hand coordination, just controlling your pencil. And learning to get better as an artist, you need to sign it and share with your family and friends.
Now that was a cute little cartoon butterfly. What did you do different? Did you use your imagination, add something in the background? Maybe the butterfly has a whole bunch of flowers behind it. Did you change it to your style? Did you make other butterflies flying around there? Whatever you're doing, use your imagination and practicing. I hope you really enjoyed this lesson. The next one is going to be really interesting for sure, and your imagination is going to be exploding on that one for sure. So stay tuned. Hey, welcome back to my series on teaching you how to draw cartoons. The next lesson is going to be a little cartoon fish with crab hands. You are definitely going to use your imagination on this one. And I have a little tip at the very end on how I take my sketching and I go much tighter, and I even added some color to this one. So you're definitely going to enjoy this lesson. So if you have your paper and pencil, let's begin. Creative one, we're taking part crab and part fish, and we're putting them together to make a crab fish. Thought this would be a fun little lesson. As you see, I'm just sketching out the basic shapes right now and the elements and building the character. But a special note, make sure you go to the very end because you'll see a final sketch. I re-sketched this one out, and then I did a quick watercolor technique to the fish. What I wanted to really share is when you look at the pencil, the sketching that I'm doing right now, to the final sketch, you'll see some little changes here and there that I adapted, that I saw after I was sketching it, that I could modify and make a little bit stronger, or what I thought was visually a little bit more accurate. So in this case, let's get back to the lesson. I have the two little claws hanging off the fish. He's going to be kind of like a sad fish. It's a sad day. It's raining in his aquarium right now. Wait, raining in an aquarium? Isn't it wet already? Well, it's a rain there, we'll just say. He's having a rainy day. Anyway, so what you'll notice is a 3/4 view shot that I have again with the crosshair that helps guide your nose, eyes, and mouth location, as well as you can see, the eyebrows, kind of like sad, how I curve them up. And if you've seen some of my other videos that I shared how to make different faces, you could keep this body structure that you have right now and change the crab face to a happy, smiley, silly face, weird, shock face. So that's the real important, what I want you to be paying attention to. When I share all my videos, you could combine some lessons and take home and bring new development to your technique. So as you can see here, I got the fin on the side there in the far left, and then I have his legs I'm working on. We'll get two of them sticking out there like crab legs. All right, let's get two on the other side. These two are sticking out on the actual body, as you can see, and the other ones are hidden because they're behind, they're wrapped around that. This is more dimensional than just typical flat drawing that you may have seen. I want you to challenge yourself when you're sketching. And I sketch, as always, nice and light. And from there, I just build up a little darker and darker to help me to make my final decision. But the final rendering, I took back into Photoshop, the pencil sketch here, and I made a little darker but I didn't use the existing layer, so if I made a mistake, I could redo it in that case. All right, there is one eyebrow done. Again, the other one done. I'm just shading them in just to give you some dimension and dark in there. The eyeball, the eyelids halfway. There you go. The eyeball right there. Let's sketch that in a little bit darker. There you go. You can see just the contrast in itself from the right eye to the left eye. A little bit more dominant. And let's get this one a little bit darker now. And what I like to do with my eyes when I'm coloring them in, I like to add like a little white highlight, a big one and a small one. That just gives like a nice little glow to it, like watery. All right, here, let's work on that little claw. You can create any type of claw. You could create one bigger than the other one, because some crabs, if I believe correctly, do have that. One's a little bit larger at times. Just use your imagination and creativity. You can make a fish robot, you know, part robot, part fish. It's kind of like a cyborg fish. And now I'm just creating some little spots. I like to do that on a lot of my cartoons. And there we go. Let's get the body a little bit more, a little darker there. How you can see it wraps around there, the fin and the side fin there, and it has the two in the back. That's behind the two legs. And as you notice, I don't erase my pencil lines right now. There's no need to. This is just a sketch. All right, let's get that crab leg a little bit darker on that side. Looking better. I like that. And I'll just do some quick little shading in there really quick to separate. But that also helps me with my mind when I'm drawing this right now. I'm thinking about the colors. And the colors that you'll see at the very end of the final one was kind of close to what I envisioned. I wanted to take part crab and part fish and combine so they didn't have a similar color to it all the way across. But you can do that. It's your creation and your coloring. And in this case, use your imagination. And when you're sketching, just be relaxed and just let the pencil flow with your hand. And don't push down too hard. All right, and there you go. Let's get that little side there. Let's get this one shaded in. There we go. Okay. Let's reroute that a little bit on the make it pointer on the bottom. You could even make them curve or whatever. There you go. I'm just shading that in. So you can see actually two on each side, the four crab legs on each side. And then from there, let's just work on this one over here a little bit more here. Okay. Let's add the stripes to that fin there. So that's the left fin, and then I have the right fin done. Let's work on the other claw now on the bottom. They're hanging down. All right, let's get that little curvature. Get that little curve for the second thumb. All right, let's add some circles on this one too, little spots. Okay, shade them in so they stand out a little bit. That's just my preference. If you do, you do. You don't, that's okay. It's just something that I like to do, to shade things in certain times. And that gets that other line there for that the little snapping part of the claw there. Okay, and you can even make them like having teeth coming out of his mouth really sad, like one or two teeth in there. Or then even with the claw, you can have the claw having some little bumps indicating like they're a little bumpy. All right, so here we have some bubbles as we're working on, because it's raining in his aquarium. As we know, aquariums all have water, but just being a little silly with that. And there you can put them randomly, make all different size bubbles, and you can put them around his body wherever you like. All right, so as we see here, let's sign and date. And before we close, I want to walk you through these little next pictures. All right, here we go. So this is the final sketch that I did. And through that final sketch, I went to this. As you can see, some of the elements were changed, like his lip and his claws. I changed a little bit. And here's the final color. All right.
Now, wasn't that a fun lesson? You gotta say, it might have been challenging and tricky, but using your imagination is what I really want you to play up on all my lessons. And you're learning how to sketch. Did you notice how I took that sketch and it got really clean? And the colors, how about that? Future lessons, definitely I'm going to share with you how I did all that. So if you enjoyed this one, the next lesson is going to be just as fun. So stay tuned. Hey, welcome back to my show and teaching you how to draw a cartoon. Here's the third and final lesson. It's going to be this little cartoon shark, a real shark that I took from a book and I turned into a little cartoon. Something that you can easily practice on whenever you would like to. So, let's begin the lesson, but first you're going to need your paper and a pencil once again. And if you're ready, let's begin.
All right, let's begin. I'm going to be using my blue pencil just to give me the basic form and outline, and I'll be following it with my mechanical pencil. Now, this shark is a very interesting one because it has a long tail in the back. Very long tail and a small little head in the front. Feel free to use your imagination and be creative. And as I always say from time to time, when you're working on these little projects, you may want to actually look on the internet or find a book on fish, in this case, sharks, and see what they actually look like. There's a ton of them out there, and you can transform them into your style of cartoon. Very easy and very fun. You get to learn about them at the same time. All right, so I'm just customizing him right now with his nose there, and let's get his little mouth in there. Really quick shape for his body, not much detail in this one right now, and the form is very, very straightforward. All right, let's get a round eye. You can even, I'm making him happy. You can make him angry, give him a little bit more of a frown on him if you wanted to. All right, and let's get the eyebrow on the top there and one in the back. All right, those little nose. A little bit, yeah, that's better. I like that. And see, I'm not even erasing whatsoever. This is a two-tone, so I'm kind of playing up with the dark part, and his belly is normally white. And, all right, there's those little nostrils there. Now let's get a little cut in the back of the fin there. Straighten that up a little bit better. Okay, and he does have long, long side fins. Believe it or not, they're pretty big. All right. To the back of the tail, a little short one on the bottom there, and then that long whip in the back. Very, very long. I'm going to be like a little rip mark in it. There we go. All right, good, 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 good. And you see, this is almost like the second step that I was doing with the drawing, because the first one I just got the form all together, really on there, and no erasing again. Now I'm just going to be coming back over with my mechanical pencil and beginning to go a little slower, a little bit more detail. And let me correct that nose a bit. I want to get more of a point to it. Kind of almost like a great white. How I'm looking in my feel of it. And then there's the back of his body right there. All right, that looks good. Clean sweep underneath his belly. Where do you see your little shark? Do you see other little baby fish around him, or is he munching around, enjoying his time in the water, in the big ocean? All right, let's get that fin on the side there, a little bit sharper on the bottom, not so curved. That's better. That's better. Yeah. Again, I'm not even erasing those blue lines whatsoever. I'll just leave them there because this is just sketching right now. And let's get this fin on the other side, and let's make it. I gotta shade that one in soon. All right, let me get the bottom one in first here. Little baby. There we go. Very simple. Very simple. Sharks and fish are very easy to draw, to learn in the very beginning, because they don't have arms or legs, where people and animals have that element that sometimes it's tricky for everybody. So for encouragement, a lot of my drawing classes, when I go touring, I actually do mostly on fish. And that's also because I have a series called Friend Fish I'm working on. He's not one of the buddies in there, but this is just a little lesson I wanted to share at the top of the dorsal fin. There we go. There we go. I like that. All right. And let's get his shadowing. So this is like a kind of like stealth. So why do they have a white belly and they're dark on the top? And the purpose is for that they actually are like that you can't see him. So if a fish underneath looks straight up, he sees white, and a fish looking down, he'll see dark. It's like a little camouflage for the shark. All right, let's get his little eyebrow on the top there. Okay, that's good. And the other one, I'm just going to shade that one in the back. All right, yeah, let's shade this one here. So this shading here, I'm going to go really tight on the top, and I'm going to go lighter, lighter, lighter all the way to the bottom. Open it up a little. And let's get him some of his little fins on the side so he can breathe out there. Okay, there we go. All right. Yeah, these looking good right now. I like that. I'm just going to create some basic bottom shape down there. Let's create some seaweed. Okay, just quickly, just put them random there. And I'm not going to pull out my blue pencil for this at all right now. I'm just going to pull out the pencil. There we go. And just easy sneezy, pull them up there. All right, just randomly putting them across left and right. Little ones, big ones, angle them. And what else do you have? Maybe some rocks. Yeah, I could see some rocks all over on the bottom there. Tall, small ones. And this is something that you can feel very creative yourself. And feel free to use your imagination and what these rock shapes could be like. Or, once again, do some reference. Pull up on the internet, or if you have some books on coral reef or the bottom of the ocean, and see what it looks like. All right, let's give him some bubbles, of course. He's swimming, so just moving little bubbles randomly, big, small, on top of over, just like they're moving around. There we go. On that side of the back of his fin there. I think that's pretty good. I'm enjoying that. So as always, when you get to this spot, let's sign and date and share with your family and friends.
Now, wasn't that a fun lesson on teaching you how to draw that cute little cartoon shark that I took from a book and I turned him into a cartoon? You can easily do that, searching on the internet for some photos of whatever inspires you to draw and turn into a cartoon. What about that butterfly? Are you going to go back to that little butterfly and maybe color him in to your colors and using your imagination and have him in a scenery in the background? That would be awesome. What about that crabfish? Would you think about taking a butterfly and another element, maybe like a cactus, and put the two together and make it a cactus butterfly? Use your imagination. That would be a definite challenging. My website is jmg-studio.biz. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson and have a great day.